And we're back here on SportsLine talking Titans training camp. Day 9 in the books. They've been in pads 6 times. Actually went to shells today. Only about an hour and 45-minute workout, so a little bit less work here today as they've really ramped things up. Back in pads the next 2 days and then on the field against an opponent Saturday night against the what should be very lowly New York Jets this year in New Jersey at the Meadowlands. First home game of the preseason comes your way a week from Saturday against the Carolina Panthers. Phone lines are open, 737-7767. We want you in on the conversation tonight. We begin with Johnny. Johnny, thanks for the call. You're first up here.
Yes, I've been trying to figure out, I think this is a men's league, a good old boys club, because ever since the 49ers and the Rams somehow slipped up and got female owners through the divorce or whatever, it's been bad luck for female owners. And the Haslam family, the Governor Haslam family, has been trying to intimidate and force itself into buying the Titans for a long time. And that should be a conflict of interest anyway, since his brother owns the team. So I don't know what you think about that, but I'm thinking they're really chopping the chops now. I think they're going to get a piece of this team because this is what they've been waiting on.
Yeah, I do know for a fact that Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, wanted a opportunity to buy the Titans at one point in time, but then he got the Browns. And so now that he owns the Browns, it's not like you can very well do a team swap and you can't own 2 teams. So I think in some ways that ship has sailed. Not that they didn't have interest or didn't want to own the Titans or own a team here in Tennessee, but I just don't think it's going to happen now. And the biggest thing about this is the Adams family, even if this sale goes through, which it probably will still own 67% of the team. They will be the controlling interest. So whoever comes in isn't going to be able to push their way around or influence things too greatly. They'll have a stake in an NFL franchise, which will be huge and is very prestigious, but don't expect major changes or worry about things dramatically going in a different direction with the Titans right now, because Amy Adams Strunk is going to make sure that will not happen.
Okay, thank you so much. I was just wondering because Governor Haslam insisted that his father wanted the team bad, and they wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Yep. I mean, Johnny, that's true. The Haslam family wanted to have a team. There's no question about it. And I think when people threw out the idea of the Titans being sold, they really wanted the team that was in Tennessee. There's absolutely no question. And as I said, Jimmy would have loved to have gotten it. But when it wasn't available, and even in that statement I read earlier from Amy Adams Strunk, the rest of the team has never been and will not be for sale, at least for the foreseeable future. When that became readily apparent, Jimmy went after the Browns. And now he owns an NFL team. It's not in Tennessee. Maybe it isn't his first choice, but he owns an NFL team at this point. 737-7767 is our number. Let's go to Henry. Henry, good evening.
Hey, Steve. How you doing, bud?
Doing well. Thanks for the call.
Question. Why doesn't Amy and the rest of them simply buy her out and keep it all in family? Or would the NFL frown on that? I'll get off and listen. Thanks.
Yeah, Henry, it's a good question. And honestly, I think it goes, and I probably should have stated this better, I think it goes partly to my question about is there some sort of a feud in the family, in the fact that it does seem like if she wanted to sell this piece, especially with the concerns that the NFL has about majority ownership and controlling owner and all of that, why wouldn't the family at least want to take on, an extra 16% of it or something to get Amy to that 50% or 51% threshold? It seems like that would be the first option. Couple things that I've heard from people today regarding that is, one, this is part of KSA Industries, which is Bud's company. There's a car dealership involved. There's an energy company involved. There's several other things besides just the football team. Splitting the football interest in multiple ways, I think, could be very difficult legally and logistically. So I think that's part of it. I also think that I have heard that look, this is a lot of money. To buy 33% of the Titans franchise, you're probably talking close to $1 billion at this point. Certainly if you throw in the other interest in the rest of the business, that's the neighborhood you're talking about here. And so do Amy Adams Strunk or the rest of the family just have $1 billion sitting around? I mean, they have it in the team. They have it in their other businesses. But do they have $1 billion in cash that they can just come up with to get that part of the team from Susie? I don't know. And then the last part that, again, goes to what I brought up earlier about the feud and the takeover early when Tommy Smith moved out of power and Amy Adams Strunk moved in to become the controlling owner. It doesn't seem like everything's hunky-dory there. And so is there part of this that Susie Smith, especially after how all of that went down, is saying, all right, we're not interested in being a part of this anymore. It didn't go well. It caused family friction. We just don't want to be a part of this team anymore. And on top of that, is there any part of that that also says not just do we not want to be a part of this team anymore, but we don't want to make it easier for you to control it. We don't want to make it easier on you and all of this sort of stuff. And so we're not going to sell it to you. That's another possibility here. And look, we'll probably never get the answer to some of these questions. But yeah, Henry, that was one of my first questions today. Is if she's going to sell, fine. But why is the rest of the family not necessarily stepping up to the plate to take that part of the team? I don't know the answer. I don't know whether it's the feud. I don't know whether it's a lack of cash funds to simply go out and buy something that expensive. Logistics, whatever it is. I think the NFL would welcome that, though. That was your last part of the question. If the money's there and it's possible, I think the NFL would love for Amy Adams Strunk or the rest of the Adams family to cough over the money and take up that chunk. Because then you would have no qualms of who's the controlling owner of the Tennessee Titans. Because someone would have 50%. Right now, the Titans say, look, we have a controlling owner. It's Amy Adams Strunk. Because 67% of the family, at least, or 67% of team ownership, has put her in control and given her all the power. That is a controlling owner. Several NFL owners, and the league at times, has fought back and said, no, what we mean by a controlling owner is a majority owner, as in stakeholder. You need 50.1% of the team in order to be that. Amy Adams Strunk doesn't have that. And so if there was a way to get her that, I'm sure the league would be all for it. But that doesn't seem like that's going to happen in this situation. So we will continue to watch this as this moves on. Again, ultimately, this is not a day that should be a cause for alarm for people here in the Mid-State. The Titans are going nowhere. They have a long-term lease. They just put in a bunch of these renovations at the stadium and at the facility. This is a team that is going to be here for the foreseeable future. It is a bright future. John Robinson is a genius as far as I'm concerned as a general manager. Mike Mularkey has hit all the right buttons as the head coach. You have young talents coming up in the system. And now you have a controlling owner in Amy Adams Strunk that has made it her point to be a part of the community, to oversee daily operations of this team, which has been missing in the past. So those things should no longer be concerns. But again, when you have a story like this, again, the questions pop up. People always want to talk about it because it's been around for so long. But again, Amy Adams Strunk is the difference here. She's the variable that makes it different. If Bud Adams was still somehow in charge, you would see rampant speculation that the entire team would be up for sale, or this would be happening, or that would be happening. But Amy Adams Strunk's presence on a daily basis and her investment of her time and capital to this team should tell you now that this family, at least a big chunk of the family, is invested in the team, and they want to see them do well. And they want to see them do well here in Nashville. Back to the phones we go to Ricky. Ricky, good evening.
Hey, Hey, good evening. I just want to say hello to my wife, Becky, and my wonderful son, Jake. We support the Titans 110%, and I'm hoping that they stay in Nashville, and that love that Marcus Mariota, the quarterback for the Titans. I love to watch him go back and pace the ball. So appreciate their time. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Ricky, for the call. A lot of people do. A lot of people love this team, and the good news is it's been pretty clear over the last couple of years that the Adams family loves this team, and Amy Adams-Strunk loves this team. And so today, maybe a little bit of a jarring announcement because of the timing here in the middle of training camp and what will come of it ultimately. But the long-term prognosis for the Titans remains good. The infrastructure is there. The team is set to be good for a long time, and the ownership does care. Amy Adams-Strunk, I have to give her a lot of credit because she has answered the bell in all of this stuff for some time now. When she took over, all of those questions were rampant. Is the team going to be sold? Are they going to be moved? All of those sort of things, and she's answered all of them. And she came in and she made big moves. President change, head coach change, general manager change, quarterback change, although that's not totally on her. She made all the big moves. Infrastructure at the stadium and at the team complex. She moved to Nashville, is around the fans, is around training camp all of the time. She invested. She heard the crowd say that they wondered if the Adams family cared. She showed she cares, and the family cares. They want this team, and they want it to be a winner. They want it to be something that makes them and makes their fan base proud. That's been her goal. And I think everything that she's done in the 2 years and change that she has owned this team has spoken to that fact. That she wants this team to be good, and she wants it to be good here. So all of those questions, they may still exist because they were out there for so long. But I think she's done a good job of answering most of them. Mainly through actions, but even through her words. Because in her first year in charge, she was very much behind the scenes. I think she got a feel of what was going on in the organization without being out front. She made some moves when she had to, but she largely stood back and observed and got a feel for what she wanted to change, how the outlook needed to change for the Tennessee Titans. And I think that rubbed some fans the wrong way because they said, all right, well, this person isn't any better because she's not here on a daily basis where we see her and we're not hearing from her. So is she as invested as they're trying to make it seem? Well, I think she heard that critique as well. And at the end of that first season, she came out. She did kind of a who is Amy Adams-Strunk thing on the team website. She did a couple interviews. She continued to talk about moves that they were making, about hiring John Robinson and Mike Mularkey, and she backed up everything she said. And it's been impressive. She's not necessarily a media hog. She doesn't want to be in front of the cameras. She doesn't want to do all of the interviews. But I think she realizes now that she has to at some point. Or on situations like today, when you have a report out there like this, you have to get in front of it and talk about it. And she did in the right way. That was a beautifully crafted statement that answers the most important questions. She's sticking around. She's the controlling owner. The rest of the family is keeping their share. Therefore, they have 67% of the team. Anyone who buys in will have less than that. Day-to-day operations of the team will not change. And the family is totally invested in their time, in their money, and in their efforts individually to make this team good and make it good in Nashville. And they look forward to seeing it happen this year and for a long time to come. That was a perfect statement. And that's what she's understood, is that you have to lead with your actions and with the pocketbook and all those sort of things as an NFL owner. But at times you just have to stand up and make a statement to your fans, even if it's uncomfortable or not the first thing you would want to do. And once again today, Amy Adams-Strunk did that. Confidence in her ability to run this organization should be very high from Titans fans. All right, we got to take a break. Phone lines are still open, 888-866-7767. Call us up, get a part of this conversation, or we can jump into some football talk as well. We will certainly do that on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. More SportsLine on the way right here on News Channel 5+.